A word of caution. This episode contains descriptions of murder and the abuse of children. Listener discretion is advised. For this episode, I wanted to provide a few case updates for some disappearances and murders I've covered in the past. There are a lot of episodes from the show catalog that could use updating, so I'll be working on that over the next few months. Today, we're going to be talking about what we've learned about the murders of Blake and London Deven in Fayetteville, where the Asha Degree missing persons case stands, and the conclusion of a double homicide investigation from 1984 in Charlotte. There is much to love about North and South Carolina, but the two states have also had their fair share of violent and senseless crimes over the years. From murders on the Blue Ridge Parkway, in the heart of big cities or sleepy college towns, and along the coastal waters, some of these stories may be new to you. Some may have happened in your town. Some may involve people that are still missing to this day. But all will leave you remembering to always be vigilant about the people you meet and the places you go. I'm Renee Robertson. Please join me for Missing in the Carolinas. Episode 182, Case Updates on Blake and London Deven, Asha Degree, and Sarah Mobley Hall and Derrick Mobley. For the past few years, I've been following an intriguing story that involves two children named Blake and London Deven out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. I first shared details in episodes 96 and 104. Today, I'm going to put all the information I've compiled so far in one place and give an update on where the case stands now. Blake and London Deven had not been seen in several years after they were adopted by the same woman, and eventually people started to raise questions. But here's the backstory on how the two came to live with their adoptive mother, a woman named Avante Deven. What makes this case more complex is that Avante, who has also gone by aliases such as Prentice Adams, Michelle Spiegel, Ava Maxwell, and Kim Nelson, changed the names of all 5 of her children once she adopted them. An infant boy named Trenton Dwayne Schuler was born in 2006. His mother, Felicia Chandler, also had 2 other sons. Later that year, the Department of Social Services from Madison County visited her home due to alleged domestic violence taking place in the house. It was not with the children's father, and Felicia said the kids weren't at home when the incident allegedly occurred. The boys stayed with family members for one night and then were placed into foster care. Felicia's social worker said the ultimate goal was reunification to get the 3 boys back at home with their mother. Avante Deven was working as a caregiver for various foster families, filling in whenever they needed help with childcare. Even though Felicia said she tried to do everything possible to get her children back, they were placed for adoption. Avante offered to take in all 3 boys, eventually adopting them together. She changed Trenton's name to Blake Deven. She had told Felicia that she would be allowed to remain in her sons' lives no matter what happened, but when the closed adoption was finalized, Felicia received no visitation rights. Blake was around 6 years old at the time. Avante Deven had also filed a petition in a Madison County court to adopt a 7-year-old girl named Mariah Elizabeth Foster, whose name was changed to London, and her sister named Cherish. The adoption was approved in March 2011, just a few months before she adopted Blake and his brothers. Avante lived with the 5 children in Leicester and Buncombe County until 2015. Avante Deven declined financial benefits from the state after the adoptions. She changed all the children's names. She took the kids across the state to Cumberland County. In 2016, they moved into a home on Eichelberger Drive near Devlin Drive. Then in June 2019, they moved to a house in Berrydale Drive, where the family remained. 2019 marks the last time London Deven was seen in Fayetteville. Blake Deven has officially been missing since 2022, but was only reported missing in January of 2024. According to Avante, he was last seen at a Walmart when he would have been between 14 and 15 years old. One of the reasons police were having trouble finding people who had seen Blake or London Deven is because they were apparently homeschooled. News station WRAL found record of a Deven Academy that listed the address for the home school as the same address where the family lived until June 2019. The document showed the school opened in 2007 and in 2013 and reported that 2 students were enrolled. But on November of 2023, an adolescent in the Deven home on Berrydale Drive placed a call to 911 seeking help as he was feeling suicidal. He said he had not seen his brother in 5 years and that when he last saw him, he had a broken arm. Felicia Chandler didn't know her biological son was missing until the Fayetteville police notified her in February of 2024. On April 4, 2024, police announced they were also looking for London Deven, who would then be 27 years old. They released a photo of her that they had, but the young woman was only around 12 years old in the picture. London's birth mother had not seen or heard from her biological daughter since 2001. The police announced the FBI had joined the search for Blake and London Deven, but didn't say whether Cumberland County Social Services was involved. Avante Deven didn't report her son Blake missing until January 19, 2024, after authorities had visited the home for a wellness check. She said the young man had told her he was going to a Buddhist retreat, but then she never heard from him again. She said she saw him between Thanksgiving and Christmas in 2022. On March 28, 2024, the Fayetteville police announced they were asking for the public's help in finding Blake Deven, who would have then been 17 years old. The day before that, they, along with the FBI, searched 3 different locations in Fayetteville in the search for Blake Deven. One of those homes was on Berrydale Drive, where Blake and London lived when they were children. The investigation focused on the garage and interior of the home, and some investigators were seen wearing hazmat suits. The family living at that home presently had no connection to the investigation and were cooperating with the search. News station WRAL found a neighbor on Berrydale Drive who said he had not seen the children since around 2018, and he couldn't say for sure whether the teen girl that used to live there was the same one as in London's photograph because she was so young in that. He said he knew the woman that lived in the house as Ava Maxwell, but police said her name was Avante Deven. Why she was using a different name was a mystery. On April 12, 2024, police announced they had found partial skeletal remains during the search for Blake and London Deven. They wouldn't say specifically where the remains were found or if they were connected to the missing Devens. From what I can tell, the remains were discovered at the home where the family first lived when they moved to Fayetteville. Those remains were eventually identified as belonging to Blake and London Deven. As I was reading the details of these disappearances, I kept circling back to the Deven family, specifically Avante Deven. I couldn't figure out if anyone else had been living in her home with her, such as a spouse or significant other. But on April 24, 2024, the Fayetteville Observer reported that the Cumberland County Department of Social Services requested an emergency order of protection on behalf of a 95-year-old Leonie Maxwell, the mother of Avante Deven. Leonie Maxwell was in a cardiac intensive care unit at Cape Fear Valley Medical Center after sustaining an anoxic brain injury, which is an injury caused by a complete lack of oxygen in the brain, in November 2023. This court filing claimed that Avante Deven was Leonie's caretaker and that she hadn't responded to calls from the hospital staff regarding necessary medical decisions that needed to be made for her mother. These calls from the hospital appeared to have been happening around the same time that police served the search warrants at Avante's home and her previous home as part of that search for Blake and London Deven. The Department of Social Services said that because of her condition, Leonie Maxwell was unable to communicate, couldn't consent to protective services, and no other person was able or willing to arrange for protective services. A district court judge ordered that Avante could still visit her mother in the hospital, but wasn't allowed to give any directives or instructions to medical personnel treating the respondent. He also added that Leonie Maxwell's assets be frozen and said the Department of Social Services believed her finances totaling more than $15,000 were being exploited by her daughter. The judge asked that Wells Fargo Bank turn over financial records for Leonie Maxwell for the months of February through April of 2024. That same news article further highlighted that Avante Deven was 61 years old and was granted a divorce in 2006 after living separately from her husband for 5 years. They do not appear to have adopted the children together. Police said they were in regular contact with the members of the Deven family. At a news conference in June 2024, Fayetteville Police Chief Kimberly Braden announced that evidence pointed to Blake and London Deven both being deceased. They revealed the initial investigation began in November 2023 when police responded to a call from the Deven house on Berrydale Drive. This call stated someone in the house was having a mental health crisis. This person ended up being one of Avante Deven's other adopted children, a male who said he hadn't seen his brother Blake in 5 years. In fact, he said the last time he had seen Blake, he had a broken arm. Police pieced together that Avante Deven had adopted 5 children from 3 different counties, 3 boys who were biologically related and 2 girls who were not biologically related to one another or the boys. Once children in the home were interviewed by both police and the Department of Social Services, they painted a grim picture. They said they were often kept in a small dark room with little to no food. They earned food by writing pages of apologies to their adoptive mother for their behavior. They were also severely beaten. Police believe Blake died from physical abuse and starvation when the family still lived on Eichelberger Drive. Someone in the home, probably a sibling, was forced to dismember and dispose of and burn Blake's body after his death. They found remains of 2 different people in a burn barrel on one of the 2 properties they searched, and lab tests have confirmed those to be belonging to London Deven. Police believe she died when she was between the ages of 15 and 19. Avante Deven had never reported London missing. Although she was an adult, police have said she had special needs and was dependent upon Avante for her care. In September 2024, WRAL obtained a recording where one of Avante's other adopted children confessed to an acquaintance that when she was between the ages of 16 and 18, she was forced to put Blake's body in a barrel and burn his remains. She said Avante had starved the boy until he died. Then she refused to admit what she'd done and pretended she didn't know where Blake was when anyone asked. 2 separate sets of remains were eventually found in that barrel, and police determined London was the other victim. This sibling, a young woman named Cherish, sat down with a reporter from WRAL last year for an interview in their documentary about this case, Broken, Foster Care in North Carolina. She has difficulty living with the abuse and torture she survived, and how she was forced to dispose of her brother's remains. She said she plans to testify against her adoptive mother in her trial. 63-year-old Avante Deven, the adoptive mother of Blake and London Deven, was arrested on June 27, 2024, and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of concealment of death, 1 count of kidnapping related to London Deven's death, and 2 counts of felony child abuse related to Blake Deven's death. She was being held without bond at the Cumberland County Detention Center. In March of this year, a grand jury indicted Avante on 5 felony charges. The Cumberland County Assistant District Attorney announced that the state intends to pursue the death penalty in this case. The trial is expected to begin next year. WRAL's documentary questioned how Avante Deven adopted so many children. From 2007 to 2013, Avante was a licensed foster parent through a nonprofit organization called Grandfather Homes. The agency requires 40 hours of training and a background check. The agency said Avante gave them 7 letters of recommendation, 2 from behavioral health agencies. Fayetteville police eventually learned Avante Deven had at least 8 possible aliases. My question is, how did this single woman have the financial resources to support the 5 children she adopted? I have yet to hear about any occupation she had that would have provided for the children. Hopefully, we'll learn more about that at her trial. Lawmakers in the state of North Carolina are working to give state officials more oversight in families involved with social services in the foster care and adoption system. Social workers often have unmanageable caseloads, and in this case, no one was required to check on the children once Avante formally adopted them. There is another strange footnote to this case. Out of curiosity, I wanted to see if Avante's mother, the above-mentioned Leonie Maxwell, was still alive. I found a notation on a Find a Grave website online. It noted that Eileen Beverly Leonie Nicole Maxwell Spiegel had passed away on May 21, 2024 in Cumberland County. The notation also read, wife of Robert Spiegel, more famously known as Robert Adams, mother of Sharon S. Spiegel, otherwise known as Melanie White, Melanie Warner, Layla, Cherie, Stephanie Amber, and various other aliases. Also mother of serial killer Michelle K. Spiegel, who has gone by the aliases Prentice Adams, Prentice Shez, Prentice Gianni, Sherry Harris, Catherine Spiegel, Ava Maxwell, and Avante Deven. Adopted grandmother of 5 children, including London and Blake Deven, who were murdered by Eileen's daughter Michelle, who had adopted them. So who was Robert Spiegel, or Robert Adams, and why in the world did this family have so many aliases? It turns out Robert Adams was a spiritual teacher who even led a small group of followers in California at one time, guiding them in the philosophy of Advaita and yoga. Advaita is a school of Hindu philosophy and believes that the ultimate reality and individual soul are one and the same. He published a book of his teachings titled Silence of the Heart, Dialogues with Robert Adams in 1999. The admin for a Facebook page titled Advaita Teacher Robert Adams was really Robert Spiegel uncovered this information in May of 2024 and created the page. This leads me to believe Avante's entire family used aliases, and perhaps she had access to money her father earned when he was a spiritual guru. I don't know if this has anything to do with how she came to adopt the children or why she abused and tortured them the way she did, but it is a strange and mysterious rabbit hole I'm going to continue to explore. Let's take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. This summer, I'm happy to report my skin is still blemish-free and sporting a healthy glow. Along with plenty of exercise and a healthy diet, I can thank the skincare products from SkinX Erin for this. I use Erin Sanderson's Pre-Cleanse Oil, Hydrating Beauty Oil, and Perfecting Night Oil, and I was hooked from the first drop. The Pre-Cleanse gently removes dirt, impurities, and even waterproof makeup without tugging, all without stripping or drying out your skin. In addition to keeping your skin clear, it also helps your skin feel firmer and reduces the signs of aging. The Hydrating Beauty Oil is a powerful and effective skin hydrator that never leaves your skin feeling greasy. The signature squalene oil is known for its anti-inflammatory and anti-aging properties. It's perfect for treating skin conditions like acne and eczema and reducing the appearance of wrinkles. The Perfecting Night Oil is loaded with vitamins E and A and is rich with antioxidants and omegas that nourish skin, replenish elasticity, and reduce stretch marks. A few drops a day leave skin smoother, more vibrant, and youthful. My skin instantly drinks in these oils, and I've never had a problem with them leaving residue on my clothes or sheets at night, only giving me a healthy glow. SkinX Erin has a new online home at midnightriff.com. Not only can you now shop fantastic skincare products that show real results, but there are clothing options too. Want to try out the products for yourself? Go to midnightriff.com and use the code MissingCarolinas10 for 10% discount on your order. I've been struggling with my weight for years, especially once I hit my 40s and the dreaded perimenopause. As my weight continued to increase, I made excuse after excuse. I work out all the time. I get in my steps every day. I eat healthy most of the time. Well, most of the time wasn't cutting it. I'd had success with Weight Watchers in the past and decided to give it a try again. I quickly learned that it was the mindless snacking I was doing in the evenings that was contributing to my weight gain. Weight Watchers makes it easy to track foods and meals on their app, and they have numerous plans designed to fit your needs, whether you're just looking to learn more about nutrition, lose a few pounds, or embark on a program that includes GLP-1 options. I've been doing their core program for 3 months and have taken advantage of all the 0-point foods like eggs, Greek yogurt, turkey, chicken, fresh vegetables, and more. I love that the app also helps you track your macros, which is something it didn't include in the past, and provides quick and easy recipes. I've been on the program for 3 months and have lost 10 pounds. I'm almost to my goal weight now and I'm feeling great. Weight Watchers doesn't tell you what to eat, they tell you how to eat, and I never feel restricted. I eat what I love, and you will too. Check out my referral link in the show notes for your chance to receive your first 3 months free with select plan purchase, not valid for WW Med Plus plans and services. And now, let's get back to the show. Asha Degree is another missing persons case that has raised more questions than answers over the years. I've discussed her story in episodes 54 and 127, but I'm going to share it again here and provide the latest discoveries. 9-year-old Asha Degree disappeared 26 years ago from Shelby, North Carolina. Her case has gained not only regional but national interest because of the unusual circumstances surrounding it. Her mom, Aquila Degree, described her as a quiet but happy child who always wanted people to get along. She said her daughter would talk to anyone, and that may have contributed to her disappearance. Local news station WBTV interviewed the family a few years ago, and I put together a timeline of what happened when the little girl went missing based on that article and a few other local media sources. On the evening of February 13th, 2000, the family was watching Michael Jordan play in the NBA All-Star Game. In the middle of the game, the power went out. Asha's uncle came by and said there had been a car accident involving an electrical pole. Asha, a fourth grader, and her older brother went to bed a little after 9 p.m., and their mom fell asleep on the couch. Around midnight, the lights came back on. Asha's father checked on the girl around 2:30 a.m. and found her asleep in the bedroom she shared with her brother. Investigators believe the young girl packed a few things in a backpack and left her home. Around 3:15 a.m., Asha was spotted walking along Highway 18 by a few different motorists. One driver tried to turn around and approach her, and she ran back into the woods. A search of that area turned up candy wrappers, a hair bow, and a pen and pencil in a nearby chicken house. Those items may have belonged to Asha. The next morning, Asha's mother discovered her daughter wasn't in her room. She reported her daughter missing around 6 a.m. Police searched for signs of Asha for the next 10 days before that was called off. In August of 2001, developers were clearing a property in Burke County when they found a child's backpack labeled with Asha Degree's name. Inside, the backpack contained a Dr. Seuss book checked out from Asha's school library and a New Kids on the Block t-shirt her parents said did not belong to her. A search of that specific area turned up no sign of human remains. In 2016, the FBI and Cleveland County Sheriff's Office released a photo of a car they believed Asha may have gotten into the night she went missing. It is described as an early 1970s Lincoln Mark or Ford Thunderbird dark green with rust around the wheel wells. In 2013, Asha's mother, Akila, told the Charlotte Observer that she feels she can't trust anyone. She says her biggest fear is that someone their family knows took Asha, and it could be a person who tried to help look for Asha when she went missing. In 2014, a 53-year-old man named Marcus Mellon wrote a letter to the Shelby Star newspaper. It read, Asha Degree has been missing for over 20 years. About 4 months ago, I had found out her whereabouts and what had happened to her. She was killed and then took and buried. I do know how and what town she is in. I hope you get this letter and do come see me. It's on the up and up. At the time, Marcus Mellon was serving time in a North Carolina prison for sex crimes against children. Investigators interviewed the man and decided his claims of knowing what happened to Asha had no merit. In late 2024, investigators in Cleveland County initiated search warrants on several properties there. They were related to evidence found with Asha's backpack in August of 2001. The DNA evidence linked those items to a woman named Annalee Dedman Ramirez, as well as a man named Russell Bradley Underhill. Underhill died in Lincoln County in 2004. The warrant stated items seized from the properties belonging to a Roy and Connie Dedman included a car, journals, cameras, film, a black trash bag, a human tooth in a Ziploc bag, children's clothing, computers, and laptops. One of the cars seized matched the description of the vehicle released by police in 2016. An article that ran in the Charlotte Observer shed more light on the investigation. Police had found items buried at that construction site in 2001, and they included Asha's backpack, a Dr. Seuss book, and that New Kids on the Block concert t-shirt. Asha's parents had told police the t-shirt didn't belong to their daughter when it was found. A hair on the shirt had DNA pointing to 3 people, Asha, Annalee Dedman Ramirez, and Russell Bradley Underhill. Annalee was 13 when Asha went missing. Medical records indicated Underhill stayed at Cleveland Healthcare Hospital a few different times between 1999 and 2002 and listed Roy Dedman as his emergency contact. Underhill had lived in an assisted living facility operated by the Dedmans when Asha went missing. Connie Dedman helped administer medication to Underhill. The warrants named Roy and Connie Dedman, parents of Annalee, as suspects, and 4 of the 5 properties belonged to the couple, who are now separated. Investigators revealed they believe Asha was murdered and her body hidden. An attorney for Roy Dedman has said he has cooperated with police and had no involvement with Asha's disappearance. 5 days after police served the search warrants in 2025, a man went to the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office and said that he frequently hung out with the Dedman sisters in the mid-2000s. He said he once saw Lizzie Deadman drunk, crying, and admitting that she had killed Asha. Her sister Sarah Deadman Capel told her to shut up, and the man said he had never seen Sarah become so angry. Lizzie Deadman Foster is the oldest of the 3 Deadman daughters. She was 16 years old at the time of Asha's disappearance. Search warrants have revealed that Roy Deadman would send Lizzie to transport patients from a nursing facility the family operated to Broughton Hospital in Morganton. Highway 18, where Asha was last spotted, was the quickest route from the nursing home to the hospital. Investigators administered a lie detector test to Lizzie Foster and said the results indicated she was deceptive. Search warrants have also revealed a flurry of phone and text activity among the sisters and their father once they were notified of the existence of the search warrants. Was Lizzie Deadman Foster transporting Russell Bradley Underhill on the highway on that rainy night when their car struck Asha by accident? This seems to be the most likely scenario, and potentially an entire family covered it up. But as the case stands right now, no one has been arrested or charged. I think the most perplexing part of Asha's case is we all wonder why she would have left her apartment in the early morning hours during a rainstorm. Was she planning to meet someone? Asha didn't have access to a cell phone or a computer at that time. Plus, she was only 9 years old. Based on the most recent findings, I think my next question would be if there is any evidence Asha knew Russell Underhill or the Deadman family at the time she went missing. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information on the Asha Degree case is asked to call 704-484-4756. And finally, I want to talk about a cold case from Charlotte I first mentioned in episode 54 that resulted in an arrest of a suspect. On May 14, 1984, police responded to a double homicide in an apartment complex in the Hidden Valley area of Charlotte. A neighbor went into the apartment when a friend of the resident grew concerned about the young mother's whereabouts. 27-year-old Sarah Mobley Hall, a special education teacher, and her 10-year-old son Derrick were found deceased inside the apartment. The murders were brutal. Sarah had been sexually assaulted, and both she and her son were strangled to death. At the time, a Charlotte homicide detective told the Charlotte Observer it was an emotional killing, a sex crime. I have some theories on how it happened. At this point, I'm still questioning several people, but I don't have one suspect yet. He went on to say, "We have a fair amount of evidence. I think we'll clear the case. It won't be in the next couple of days, though, unless someone comes in here and confesses." 14 years passed with no progress on the double homicide. In 1998, Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Chief Johnny Jennings reopened the case once again. He discovered there was possible DNA from a suspect on a pillowcase, but he was unable to find a match for it at that time. Then the CMPD sent some of that DNA to a company called Forensic Innovative Labs for forensic genealogy testing. They found a match to a relative of the suspect. In an article shared by WFAE, CMPD Captain Joel McNeely said, "We quickly narrowed down a person of interest in this. That person was now in South Carolina. And with the help of the FBI, we were able to get a DNA sample from that person." The DNA was a direct match to the DNA found at the 1984 crime scene. On February 1st, a 60-year-old man named James Thomas Pratt was arrested at a hotel in York County. The suspect would have been 22 years old at the time of the murder and had a history of misdemeanor arrests. He was charged with 2 counts of murder and not given bond. Police said they did not have a motive for the murders, so it was likely a crime of opportunity. In November of 2023, James Thomas Pratt pleaded guilty to the murders of Sarah Mobley Hall and Derrick Mobley. He was sentenced to 60 years in prison, 30 years for each count of murder. Charlotte Mecklenburg Police said this case was the first time a murder was solved using familial DNA testing. This brings us to the conclusion of this episode of Missing in the Carolinas. If you enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and give it a 5-star rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok, so please like our pages and get started on a discussion of the missing people profiled on the show. Do you know of a missing persons case in North or South Carolina that you think should be covered? Email me at missinginthecarolinas@gmail.com with any details you can share. Cover art for this podcast was designed by Macintosh Multimedia. All episodes are researched and written by me, Renee Robertson, with sound editing provided by Daniel Robertson. Jenna Browse is the social media coordinator and research assistant. Thanks so much for listening.